So picture this. You have just finished up a coffee meeting, or maybe you left a dinner or a conference or a networking event, and you're getting back to your desk. The question is, what can I do after a conversation like that that's going to help me build and maintain a relationship with someone I care about? Now, this could be a friend, it could be a client, a prospect, networking contact. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we're trying to build a relationship over a long period of time. And so it's important that we capture that energy that came out of that interaction and make sure that we use it to build this relationship and that rapport over a long period of time. So after spending years interviewing and understanding how some of the best minds in networking and connecting people think, I've had the opportunity to really condense it down to what I believe are 4 key questions that you can ask when it comes to building a relationship with someone. So again, do this after you have the conversation. It could even be the next day. I usually like to do it immediately afterwards before I have the opportunity to start forgetting things. So the first is just, what did we talk about? So again, first question is just, what do we talk about? It can be just stream of consciousness notes, any books that came up, random tidbits or facts, topics, questions they asked, questions you asked, things you were thinking about, but it's really meant to just be stream of consciousness, because we shouldn't necessarily try and think about specific questions that came out of it. Instead, we should be trying to just jot whatever is in our head. The second question is, what did I learn about them? This is really important because we are trying to build a relationship with a person over a long period of time. And even if it was a business contact that you were talking about, let's say a particular proposal or client project or pitch, it doesn't matter. We're trying to build a relationship with a person that transcends any particular transaction. And so we want to make sure that we capture as much personal details as possible. Now, of course, it might be something like a business objective that they have or a challenge, but it could just be something like in small talk, they mentioned that their kid has a basketball tournament, or that they took a scooter on the way to the office, or that they really love hot sauce because they asked for hot sauce and they were disappointed that Tabasco is the only thing they offer. Yeah, that's usually my case. So again, the first question is, what came up? The second question is, what did I learn about them? The third, I think is really important, is what did I feel about them? At the end of the day, we want to build a network, a sphere of people that support us and we can support them in turn. And one of the best indicators is there any energy there? Is there any connection? Now, I'm sure you and I have sat down with people and you can tell, like, we're just going to talk about business at hand and we're never going to engage again. Now, sometimes that can turn around too, but I find that my own energy, my intuition, and what I feel coming off them is usually a pretty good indicator. So if you felt really excited talking to them and they kept leaning in and all of a sudden you wish you could have stayed another hour talking, but you had a jet or they had a jet, that's a good indicator. Whereas if you felt like, oh my God, we were just kind of filling time until it was socially acceptable to wrap up the conversation, that's another good indicator too. So again, ask yourself, what did I feel about them? And what do I think they felt about me coming out of that conversation? And the fourth, I believe this is one of the most important ones, is what are the next steps? Now, all too often, we are jumping from meeting to meeting, conversation to conversation, person to person, event to event, without looking back and saying, hey, what were the promises and commitments that were made that I can follow through? One of the lowest hanging fruits when it comes to building up a network is actually following through on what we said we were going to do during a conversation. If you said you were going to recommend a book to them, then recommend a book. If you said you were going to make an introduction, then make an introduction. Even if it's as simple as just sending a follow-up email saying, hey, it was really great connecting with you. I would love to stay in touch in the future. That might be it. I know I've been guilty of having a full day of meetings and realizing that a week has gone by and I haven't done what I said I was going to do on Monday. That's why it's so important when you're debriefing after a conversation to really take the time and sit down and saying, hey, what were the commitments that I made or they made that I can follow up on? So again, 4 things to be thinking about when you are capturing information after a conversation, whether it's a coffee meeting or dinner or networking event. 1, what came up in our conversation? 2, what did I learn about them? 3, what is the feeling of connection after that? And 4, what are the follow-ups that I can then act on?